Well, thank you for having me. This is actually my first gathering ever, so I'm very excited and also very nervous. I'm from the JRMF Mathematics Festival. If you haven't heard of us before, we help communities put on fun math events. You can see a picture and kind of get a sense for what it feels like. Math Festival is a big open space, lots of tables set up. Every table has a different manipulative-based, play-based activity. Every table has a trained activity leader that helps guide students through the activities. And then we let students just explore for a couple hours, anywhere from 2 to 5 hours. And we give them the agency to choose where they want to go and what they want to do. And it's a beautiful celebration of math where kids get to play with adults, adults get to play with kids, older kids get to teach younger kids. It's just one of the most beautiful things is watching a young kid explain to their parents how math works and different puzzles that they learned that day. And because of COVID, we couldn't do any of that. So it led to a lot of pivoting and a lot of innovation. And so I wanted to share some of the stuff that we've been exploring and experimenting with over the last couple of years. And I wanted to do this through one of our all-time favorite activities. It's called our Jumping Julia mazes. And the way it works is you start on the top left square where it says start. Every number tells you exactly how many spaces you're allowed to jump, and your goal is to get to the bottom right-hand corner. So I don't want to go through a full solution right now, but I'll leave this up for all of 3 seconds in case you wanted to try to figure it out in these 3 seconds. But again, the ultimate goal with all of our activities is to provide something for students that's low floor, high ceiling, something that really any student can enter into and helps develop those important critical thinking and problem solving skills. Prior to COVID, these Jumping Julia mazes were mazes where kids could literally jump through them. So we would make these floor mats. And as you can see at one of our last festivals before COVID hit, this was in 2019, it's a big floor mat, about 10 feet by 10 feet. And we let kids jump, explore, play, and try to get to the goal. Of course, because of COVID, we had to find some other alternate ways to still explore this puzzle. And one of the big things that we experimented with over the last couple of years are digital apps to go along with a lot of our activities. So we made one for Jumping Julia. And we learned a lot through making these apps. This app, by the way, is completely free. If you go to our website, jrmf.org, and go to the puzzles and games section, you'll find this app along with many others. And I just wanted to share some of the big takeaways that we learned as we developed apps. The one big one, so the first big one is that mistakes are so important for learning, and something that apps allow you to do more than in-person activities is it allows mistakes to be a lot lower risk because we can do things like undo buttons, restart buttons, note-taking, record-keeping, and so we really love our digital apps for that reason. The second big takeaway is we incorporate a lot of ways for students to keep notes. Getting students to keep notes in person is really, really difficult, but with apps, we're able to explore so many different types of tools that just makes it a lot more seamless, a lot easier. And you can kind of see a panel of our tools on the right-hand side where they can add arrows and cross-off squares, all that good stuff. And the last thing that we love about our apps is that it helps with communication over Zoom. That was something that we were finding really challenging at the beginning of COVID, is that we had all these great activities, and you can do stuff with pencil and paper and physical manipulatives and try to move the camera around, but it was always very challenging. So we wanted to find some sort of medium that kids could use in order to communicate their mathematical thinking, and apps were just a really beautiful way. They could share a screen, they could annotate, all of that good stuff. By the way, the timer's never started up here, so I don't actually know how much time I have left. So if someone could give me a warning, that'd be great.
2 minutes, sorry.
2 minutes? Okay, thank you. So I'll go through this other stuff a little quickly. In addition to our app, something we also notice is that if you just give a kid an app, they will click through the app and solve lots of puzzles, but they won't do a lot of thinking. And so we wanted to encourage students to really take a step back, go through these activities slowly, and really think about what they were doing as they were doing it. So we've been making a lot of question sets through Desmos for a lot of our activities, including Jumping Julia. And you can kind of see the interface here a little bit. This is the back-end interface. And the idea is that we ask questions along the way to go with the puzzles, where students can share their thinking, they can answer questions, but most importantly, they can see what other students are answering at the same time. And this has been a really, really popular option with classroom settings, and we've been employing this since the beginning of the year to do free classroom visits in this kind of virtual hybrid format since February. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to reach out to me. And the last thing I'll talk about very, very quickly is we have come back in person. And since we've come back in person, one thing that we've been trying to do more than anything is make what we do more accessible, lower cost, and more stress-free than it's ever been in the past. And so our jumping Julia mazes were great, but they were fairly expensive to get them commercially done. So we've been using these foam tiles along with number stickers to allow people to make their own mazes at a fraction of the cost, which allows them to make many, 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 many more puzzles for students to explore. We've gotten the opportunity to use them a couple times so far. So we did our first in-person festival in San Jose, which is where I'm from, 2 weeks ago, and we just did another one this past Friday. These are some pictures from those events, and I don't have much more else to say on this slide other than it was just really beautiful to see kids doing fun math in person again. And the one thing I want to leave everybody with is a challenge, because we love giving people puzzles as much as we love giving students puzzles. And so this was a challenge that we wanted to come up with because we wanted to make our mazes bigger and more exciting at our events. And so we wanted to take all the foam tiles that we had and turn them into one big puzzle. And so the challenge I have for you is to try to make an 8x8 Julia jumping maze. Where instead of having one goal at the bottom right-hand corner, you have 3 different goals on the 3 non-start corners. Each goal is a different level of difficulty, and the last challenge in this challenge is to include a loop trap, where a loop trap is 4 squares, where when you enter into that loop, you can only go between those 4 squares and you get trapped. And I am out of time, so I don't want to take up anything else, but thank you everyone for listening. If you are interested in learning anything else about us, feel free to visit our website at jrmf.org, email us at info@jrmf.org, or find me anywhere around the conference later today. Thank you.